It was after dinner, when Frank and Diana had retired to bed and we enjoyed a quiet glass of wine, that Monica asked me what it was that I really wanted, now that I had the responsibility of the presidency. I could feel she was worried. I had proven to her that our family came first and had always supported her humanitarian work in the NGOs, but she had never fully warmed up to my more passionate Martian theories and my fascination with millennialism. I can't tell you the details, love, state secrets and such, but let me confide in you at least that we're planning to change the constitution, and we must dismantle the remnants of the old order if this country is to move ahead. I would call myself a Martian before a millennialist. I strongly believe that the future must rest on the workers who build this country, not on the capitalist parasites who only accumulate personal wealth. But at the same time, I'm the president of Swordland. I must look after the well-being of my citizens, not chase some goal of permanent revolution for revolution's sake. What would we gain from Mileniev's dictatorship of the proletariat? Festering resentment to be met with force yet again. How would that lead to a better tomorrow? We've both seen what the military is capable of. No, I agree with Mileniev's ideal of democracy for the masses and the goal of a participatory economy, but we mustn't lose ourselves. In this increasingly dangerous world, we will have to choose its side, and aligning ourselves with the Continent Security Pact is the only way we can achieve both, I believe. Prosperous workers who own the means of production, military security, and who knows, maybe we can convince some of the capitalists to give up parts of their wealth for the public good and join the workers rather than fight them. You're a dreamer, Anton, she replied with a smile. Just be careful out there, you'll be making many enemies. And there is Anton's plan, at least for the immediate future. Work with reformists to change the constitution, because we have considerable overlap politically. Find a way to break the judiciary, because they are in the way of everything, trying to preserve their old privileges. And we do have to keep an eye out on the military. There is a rift between our Chief of Staff and the Secretary of Defense. And we've got oligarchs to deal with, many of whom have ill-gotten gains, but not necessarily all of them. We have to show them who's boss and get them to back down from their meddling. But at the same time, we also don't necessarily want to lead open revolution and just dispossess everybody. Because oftentimes when you lead larger companies, it turns out that the people who are assembling the machines on the factory line are maybe not necessarily qualified to do that. So we might need some people who have experience in these things. And we'll see how we get there. It's going to be a process that hopefully includes as many as possible, but at the same time we will have to show them that the state dictates how things are and not those who have riches. First, however, it's time to go through the news. A fire has stricken Holsword State University archive. That's bad. Sudden fire broke out in the archives of the State University, engulfing a significant part of the academic administration building. It was put out by the local firefighters after burning for 8 hours and ravaging through the historic library, which housed many priceless documents. Oh dear. Reporters on the scene have relayed that the event occurred in the evening, with multiple staff of the faculty being transported to the hospital with severe burns, but no deaths occurred. Director Navek immediately commented that the incident has damaged several academic works and employee records. We might have lost the world, or we might have lost Mercopa. We won't know until the day when we can enter the facility to evaluate. Okay, that's bad. I don't know if that has an actual game impact, but education is kind of our focus, so we'll have to see if there's anything we can do to rectify the situation. Speaker Gloria Torrey, okay, she is a part of the assembly. Oh, so she's the assembly speaker, okay. What is she? She's been with the Republicans, supported democratic revolutionaries, and organized several major student rallies. Worked at several jobs, lobbying firm and school of public speaking and debating. Okay, fair enough. She's from the USP. Okay, appointed as special advisor of the Minister of Interior. She was a strong critic of Alfonso's presidency. Okay, we'll see eye to eye on that. She became famed for her obstructions of the assembly of some of his policies. Regarded as a charismatic politician and a tough negotiator, she is credited for major lobbying incidents within the USP, which shifted the political landscape during the last decade. After the 1953 elections, she was speaker for a second time. About these lobbying incidents, I'd be curious to know more. Lobbying generally is a very double-edged sword. Because for once, obviously, the idea of lobbying in general is that interest groups bring their particular grievances to the forefront and to the attention of the political class. The problem is if you combine lobbying with corruption, as is easily done, because if you have very wealthy interest groups or very powerful interest groups, they might offer certain incentives to the political class to take their interests more seriously. And suddenly you have a marketplace of politics, or rather an auction of politics, where those who with the highest bid can purchase policies for the next period, which I am obviously very much not in favor of. So we might have to keep a close eye on her. She said that a committee, which includes all three political parties of the assembly, has been formed for the preparation of potential changes to the constitution. The committee has been asked to submit a comprehensive report to find a solution for the current problematic state of affairs in government institutions. Okay, so far she hasn't said anything. USP wants to appeal to the people of Swordland to help in maintaining stability and order in this state. Okay, the details of the committee regarding its actual topics or its members have not been clarified. So effectively, she said, we're going to change the constitution, but not how, in which direction, or by what means, and ask the people to please not rise up in the meantime. Okay, can work with that. What does The Economist have to say? Alfonso has announced his departure from Lothar Group. Haven't we looked at that last time already? His decision has been fueled by a growing disillusionment with the interests of the secretive organization. He has been quoted saying he's intent on charting his own course. Maybe we'll see if we can work with him, but Lothar Group is one of those organizations that are definitely not having the same ideas that I'm having. All right. The Swedish National League prepares to kick off its season. Okay, we're talking about football, are we? The excitement and anticipation surrounding the league is greater than ever before. Football, once a minor pastime in Swordland, has steadily grown in popularity, National League emerging as the premier platform for the country's top teams to showcase their skills. We've got the FC Gelsord, last season's champions, return with a core of experienced veterans. Meanwhile, we've got the FC Anrika, managed to add several new players. Okay, well, it's impossible to predict whether Gelsord will finally be bested. One thing is certain, Swedish National League is slowly cementing itself as a force in the world of football, and the season is sure to be a testament to the growing prestige and popularity. Good to know. I did have the inkling that football was rather popular. Support in Assembly grows for campaign finance bill. Okay, a bill to change the criteria for the allocation of public funds to political parties is proposed by Klavin from the USP. Who is he? So he is a member of the USP. Has risen to significance during the Alfonso administration as an aggressive debater and strong supporter of Alfonso and his policies. Okay, so he is somebody who we need to keep an eye on. After the recession, he joined the calls for Congress to elect a new presidential nominee and abandoned his support to Alfonso, nominated himself as the next candidate, but did not get much support, eventually led to the candidacy of me, has been calling for constitutional reforms with the election of Rayne. So, yes, we have similar interests, but what kind of bill is he proposing? If he is into Alfonsonomics, then we're not going to be getting anywhere. The bill aims to change the criteria for the proportion of votes won in general elections to a proportion of seats won by a political party in the Grand National Assembly. This would result in an increase of about 28 million to the governing party, which will benefit the most from the proposed bill. The new bill would give political parties an annually amount of 500,000 per member of assembly. Okay, so we had a we have a because if you lose a seat, previously you would have been given financing according to the proportional financing according to the number of votes, but instead he's doing proportional. He wants to have proportional financing by the seat. This is a power grab or a cash grab. I will oppose this if I can. So there's absolutely no need. There's not necessarily a need to do it this way. This seems to be just a redistribution of funds towards the USP and obviously his own pocket. So yeah, I'm not doing that. If that comes up to me. Okay. Lachhaven Times. No, that's what we've just read. The Radical. Okay. Unearthed the Isam incident. What is the Isam incident? I think I've heard that mentioned before. Let's have a quick look. A bloody protest that occurred in 1933. The foundational moment of the Bludish movement. Okay. Oh, okay, because the dam project, which was proposed, which was going to have several the Bludish village of Isam flooded to make the dam work, and people have been protesting, and then military personnel, as a reaction to the protests, and the village elder was shot, which then turned the whole thing violent. The military returned fire, Isam was raised, and that led to the whole Bludish Freedom Front, Raging of Bergia, and so on. Okay, so let's see what the Radical has to say in the whole thing. The Radical is obviously, well, somewhat radical. Decades after the infamous Isam incident, new and confirmed information emerges that challenges the official state narrative. As per anonymous former Black Battalion sources, I'm assuming Black Battalions would have been either the protesters or a paramilitary force of some sort. Incident was not an act of foreign aggression to destabilize Swordland, but a government conspiracy to gain influence. Okay. Materials related to members of the Old Guard faction revealed startling information about the involvement of high-ranking government officials in the incident, some of which are in powerful positions to this day. Our paper won't be disclosing the details due to potential safety reasons. This fresh perspective on the bloody incidents of 1933 necessitates a reassessment of Swordish history, promising to reshape our understanding of the Bludish movement. Okay, so what they're saying effectively, I'm assuming Black Battalion would be a paramilitary force that was used, probably nationalist paramilitary force that was used to violently suppress the minority. There might be some form of racism included here. And effectively the official narrative has been, because the Codex doesn't say that, the official narrative has been that this was foreign meddling. So what we've effectively said is that, these protesters are foreign agents and they started the violence, so the government had to react. But instead, apparently, members of the Old Guard have been involved and have been using that to improve their power position. How exactly, I'm not certain, but I'm interested in that to a degree. If they could pass the evidence they have onto the government, maybe if we are to start attacking the issue in more seriousness, and we are trying to get rid of, or at least depower the Old Guard faction quite a bit, then this might be some useful stuff. So I'm going to take a quick note of that the Radical may have material on the Old Guard that we could use in the future. Okay, that leaves we with Geopolitico. Risia, the kingdom, firmly refutes retort in Aureus Gasfield's dispute. Okay, let's see what this is all about. So I might need to go... we'll go to the map in a minute here. Let's see who's going on. So there are offshore gas fields, and the kingdom of Risia has strongly refuted the Grand Duchy of Pales counterclaim. This development escalated last year's surprise move by Risia, which asserted ownership based on historical records and long-standing Arno-Maritime agreements. The claim had initially put significant pressure on, I'm going to call it Palace, and caused notable fluctuations in Mercopan energy markets. Okay, so we have offshore gas fields and various factions who obviously have a financial interest in those fields have pulled out historical records claiming that that these resources belong to them. The Grand Duchy, countering Risia's assertion, had presented their own historical evidence and legal agreements to justify their exploitation rights. This counterclaim added fuel to the already intense dispute, drawing keen attention from across Mercopa and prompting offers of international mediation to prevent further escalation. Despite the ongoing diplomatic efforts, the deadlock continues to unsettle the region's energy sector. Energy companies across Mercopa express growing concerns about operational disruptions and potential impacts on the region's energy supply. The persistence of the dispute threatens not only immediate economic interests, but also the long-term. Well, we just said that. There's another one, but I want to look at the map first. So we've got, okay, there's the Grand Duchy. The Grand Duchy is an absolute monarchy. And we've got obviously the Kingdom of Risia, which is also, well, it's a semi-constitutional monarchy, but it's also a monarchy. And both are reasonably small countries, although the duchy is noticeably smaller. And they have disputes over access to offshore gas fields, which means, which is totally not the Strait of the Suez Sea. Like maybe that bit here or something. Maybe someone could blockade it. So there is, there's definitely some energy interruption in the international markets. We do have offshore. We did have a pause in due to maintenance in one of our offshore gas fields, I believe. So that would exacerbate the whole problem. So if we are looking to export something like gas in order to deal with our economy, getting that back online, this becomes more important. Okay, there was a second article. Rumborg, our foreign policy analysts who are reviewing the recent aggressive military and diplomatic developments of Rumborg have come to the conclusion that it is highly likely that Rumborg will keep trying to push further south, threatening the territories of Swordland, Valen, and possibly Agnolia. The annexation of Dome many decades ago was just the beginning. Rumborg seems to be on a quest to secure all strategic resources in East Mercopa. So we have... yes, obviously the Kingdom of Rumborg and its expansionist, one of the sort of last, or one of the remnants of the old monarchies, together with these kind of smaller kingdoms here. But certainly the third faction, Guild of Royal Allies, and certainly a militarily aggressive state threatening us and our northern and southern neighbors. And that means we do have, again, I don't know what the detailed military situation along the border is, if that is defensible, what's the terrain, how are our military forces positioned, have we built fortifications? All of these would be sort of questions that I would love to get answers from the military for. But it also means that the need for joining a military alliance is higher than ever, because it's not just that there are two world powers with the Continental Union and the ATO, the Arcasian Treaty Organization, but it's also that we still have these sort of aggressive old military powers trying to secure additional resources and land. And we know that we have Rumborgian minorities, I believe, if I remember correctly. So if we're looking at Nargis, can I actually get the whole? Can I get the whole entry? Okay, I just can't get the city, but we do have some minorities here as stored, maybe. Yeah, so we do have significant Rumborgian Rumburgian minorities in the borderlands. So they could always pull the you're oppressing you're oppressing our brothers, and we're going to need to invade you card. So which isn't probably wrong, because again, Swordland's constitution leaves things to be desired. We actually have a fair few more reports to go through as well. What do we got here? We'll see. Okay, we're gonna get back to the national map, I believe. We got a few reports from the cities, and I think, we've got some more actions in Holsword to take. So let's see what the news are from the various areas. The Swedish Grid Corporation, this is all classified. Swedish Grid Corporation's field. Swedish Grid Corporation was a state enterprise, wasn't it? Government corporation, yes. Field research team has announced new gas field discoveries in Narbel. Okay, that is both good and bad. I'll get to that in a second. These discoveries could enhance the city's energy supply and play a significant role in the broader energy landscape of Swordland. Preliminary analysis of the yield and quality of the fields is currently underway. Corporation will soon release a comprehensive report outlining extraction feasibility. Economic implications of these findings, particularly regarding potential growth and job creation in the region, are noteworthy. That is great news, because, first of all, we have a disruption in the international gas markets, exacerbated by the bickering monarchies and our own offshore facility going offline, which is an opportunity, which means higher gas prices, which would be an opportunity for us to export that stuff. Obviously, pending on how long it's going to take to actually get production going, which usually doesn't happen overnight. But it would obviously be, yes, a noticeable, useful export natural resource. The downside is that this is right at the border to Rumburg, as I just mentioned, especially if that old monarchy is, energy heavy. They might have specific interests and say, look, the city of Narbel already has a 30% Rumburgian minority. You're oppressing our countrymen, and that natural gas historically belongs to us, as it appears to become a fashionable way of framing things among the monarchies. So if they dig up a document from 500 years ago that this was part of Rumburg, and then they have both a casus belli and an incentive to go after us. So militarily, this is obviously dangerous. And we are in the 1950s, so I'm assuming that we have things like mechanized forces, we've got aircraft. So any kind of, even if it came to a military conflict, they could easily shut this down, depending on how far this is. But I'm assuming it's maybe let's give it 100 kilometers or something, just as a guess. So that would be easily within range of air forces. So it's great, and we will develop this. But it's yet another incentive for Rumburg to become militarily aggressive. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. We've got Deir in the Bergia region. A region of Bergia is among the worst hit regions in Swordland, where homelessness has skyrocketed since the economic depression. Number of homeless in the city is more likely to have increased by 25% in the last year. The rise was particularly stark among Bludish people, where homelessness increased by 72% in just 6 years. It is reported that homelessness among ethnic minorities, the percentage doesn't tell you much, right? I would actually prefer, it only tells you something in comparison to a degree. But an extreme example, right? This is a typical way of framing economic statistics for your political desires. So let's say for a hypothetical example that the city of Deir had a homeless person, one. And last year, another person became homeless. Homelessness has increased by 100%. Homelessness in Deir has doubled. But it's just one more person, right? So a much more interesting factor would be the, let's say, the percentage of of the population that is homeless, or the percentage of a specific economic strata that is becoming homeless, or just absolute numbers or comparative homelessness ratios per capita between the city and other cities. But just saying that homelessness increased by 72% doesn't really tell you an awful lot, because you don't know what the base value is. But I mean, we're assuming that, yes, given that the economic situation in the region is already terrible, and especially that we are seeing discrimination against Bludish people, which means it's going to be harder for them to find accommodation. I'm assuming that it's a lot. It is reported that homelessness among ethnic minorities has reached the highest level in more than a decade. The Bludish minority of the region now account for up to 47% of all homeless people there. That, again, doesn't really tell you anything because we don't know what the ratio of... if the population of the city was 99% Bludish and they accounted for 47% of all homeless people there, well, they wouldn't be an ethnic minority. So we're assuming that they are less than 50% Bludish people. Otherwise, we can actually look that up. So let's see. We've got the 47% of the homeless people are Bludish in Deir. And if we look up the city, the Bludish themselves make up 40% of the population. So you see, it's not actually that bad. Because, well, yes, about half of the homeless people are Bludish. But about half of the people in total are Bludish. There's still an outsized share here, in that, because they only have 40% of the population of the ethnicity, but it looks a lot less bad when you look at it correctly, right? Don't ever trust statistics that you haven't falsified yourself. So we have 50% Sordish people, so the other 50% homelessness mostly is going to go into the Sordish side. So it's not quite as dire as it's made to look out. Still, it's bad, and I think we have increases. We already had a large number being homeless, and homelessness is increasing, which is a bad thing. So obviously not something we necessarily want to, and something we will need to deal with as well. So that brings us to the source. Why are these people homeless? It's most likely economic devastation. It always goes back to economy, right? If you earn an income, and that income can afford you accommodation, then you're not homeless. There's obviously health reasons and other reasons, but a lot of that is knock-on effects from economic disparity, and especially with the minorities who are discriminated against. So we'll see what we can do about that. Rayne, what does we have? The Nature Preservation Foundation of Rayne has organized a march promoting ecological practices in nature preservation. The event witnessed significant participation, demonstrating the local community's commitment to environmental issues. The peaceful demonstration has successfully raised awareness about the unique biodiversity and environmental challenges. What are these environmental challenges? Do pray tell. Local authorities have noted the event and the message conveyed by the foundation, but yet have failed to convey that to us. Okay. The Grand National Assembly in Holsord is readying the Swordland Tourism and Cultural Preservation Act. This act aims to enhance the... Did I not look at that before? That was the State University. Near complete destruction of employee records. Okay, I think I'm not sure. These reports might be... I think we've read this before. So this might be correlated in some way. But that's why there was like a browse option. I'm still not entirely certain how this game's informational system is working. But I think we've gone through the things, and we can now start looking. I would really love to actually start doing something I have plans, Can we implement economic things instead of, well, I guess we'll have to define our strategy first before we can start doing anything. So meeting on the media strategy, that is going to be interesting. Media. I had something in the notes. Let me quickly look that up. These guys, the Heart of Swordland conglomerate, had a monopoly on the media industry, both owning the Swordland Today and the Swedish Broadcasting Corporation. I wouldn't call that a monopoly, because if I look at the news, well, I mean, yes, they own Swordland Today, but there's alternative ones. So they clearly don't have a monopoly on the news or on the media. But I would say probably an outsized influence of the Coronti family. And it looks like the Coronti dynasty, actually, because his eldest son seems to be becoming the star of the conglomerate. So this obviously puts us into a difficult position. I would almost assume that this is going to come up in the next discussion. So they're oligarchs, I would assume. Let's see where they. Where can I see this? Factions, oligarchs under Tusk. Can we see who is actually a member of this faction? The Noterberg group. Unfortunately not. Yeah. No, doesn't seem to be an overview, but I would assume that he's part of that faction. So we've got a dominant media conglomerate. That is obviously going to be difficult, because I would assume, and I'm just thinking aloud here before we go into the meeting, I would assume that we can do this two ways. We can either break up the conglomerate and create a more independent media, or we can nationalize it. And we have a third option. We can nationalize it and make it effectively the state media, which obviously removes one of the sort of checks and balances. But given that we are planning to do rather fundamental changes, it's probably not a terrible idea to have a popular media apparatus that we can use to convey the government's views to the citizens. Unfortunately, there's probably also a third way, because I would assume that these guys are, well, we've announced that we want to change the constitution. We've announced that we wanted to. Have we announced that we're going east? I think it's sort of understood that we're planning to align east. So these guys are going to put two and two together and effectively say, oh dear, we know what's coming. So he might attempt to offer me, I don't know, an honorary position on the board of directors or something. Or something more pragmatic, funding for certain things, maybe, in return for him being excluded from any kind of activity. That means we're going to have to be towing the line between pragmatism and idealism. Now, Anton is not a corrupt man, and he abhors corruption. So any kind of payment for future benefits is not something that he would take. So he sees himself as a servant of the people and not as somebody who's trying to amass personal riches. At the same time, such a media conglomerate, if we reject that, whatever it is that they're proposing, I don't even know if they're going to be in there, but I'm just thinking aloud here. So if they come to us and go away with the impression that we are going to basically take away their company, they are going to raise everything they can, because it's existential for them, to discredit our administration. Is that something do we have the political stability to make that happen in the middle of everything? Or do we have to tread carefully here? So that's that's sort of what I'm thinking. We can't find everybody at the same time. So if we can find a way to, well, if we can find a way to, threaten him into compliance would be my preferred state, with the later option of nationalizing that into state media. Then that'd be my preferred way of doing it. But we will see. We'll see what options we have, and we'll see if that even comes up, or if this is just my cabinet discussing how we're going to go about things. All right, let's get this meeting started. Office of the President in the Maroon Palace. Who do we have? We've got Lucien and Peter to talk about recent developments and the media strategy. Okay, good. So we are talking within the confines of our cabinet, after all. They both took their seats across from me. Lucien put on his reading glasses, then quickly went over some documents. Peter turned to Lucien and nodded. Greetings, gentlemen. I have just received further information from the interior about the sudden fire that broke out at the Holsworth State University archives nearby. Okay, so there was more to that then. Let's hear. It could be... conspiracy theory. It could be that some of the evidence that the radical newspaper reported about may have been there, and somebody wanted to make sure that it goes up in smoke, pretty literally. Let's see what he's got to say. Tell me more. Yes, and that indeed. The initial reports from the Holsworth police chief indicate a potential arson case. In accordance with protocol, the Swedish Intelligence Directorate has been called. Okay, yes, I agree. Why would somebody set fire to a university? Well, could be political reasons, or there was something that they wanted to destroy. Is the SID really necessary for this? Why would anyone hit the archives of a university in the first place? I see no logical motive there. Oh, I can think of one or two. It could be an act of terrorism. It could be fraud, insurance fraud, anything else. It could be revenge. Maybe somebody's been mistreated. It could be that there was information in the archives that somebody desperately wanted to get rid of for political reasons. It seems like the chief suspect's foreign sabotage. Okay, they informed us that a large section of the archive has been destroyed. It included tens of thousands of globally recognized research documents and original by the great thinkers of our people. Why would foreign sabotage want to destroy that? That's less sabotage. That's more terrorism, foreign terrorism. It could be that Rumburg is behind that. And they did want to make sure that certain historical claims on certain rich gas fields that have been recently discovered that we weren't able to counterclaim on an international court because we don't have the documents anymore. By this time, however, I would have assumed that that's actually a good question. Did microfilm exist in the 1950s? Let me check that out of pure interest. Yeah, so at least in our timeline, that was invented in the 1850s, actually, and should have been commercially available around the 1920s, 1930s. So I would have assumed that efforts were underway to make archive copies, accessible archive copies, in something like microfilm. So the destruction of the originals would then be purely terrorist in nature. Let's see. Okay. It's a shame that so much knowledge was lost. Well, yes. If this was arson, what could the motive have been? Foreign sabotage. We need to support our education system to make new discoveries for the future. Yes, but I would... that's a general thing, but right now the immediately pressing question would be, what could the motive have been? The fact that the employee records have been destroyed along with the research documents raises further questions. Yeah, that's more what I'm thinking of. Okay, so now he's talking about research documents. So like historical research maybe. So in that case, for sabotage in the sense of trying to slow down our trying to slow down our research industry in general. Okay, employee records, that's more what I had initially considered. Luckily, most originals have copies in the other universities and some international libraries. The first edition of my favorite book, The Geopolitics of Swordland by Hermann Equa, was destroyed too. It really feels more like terrorism, honestly, unless there was a different thing. So who was Hermann Equa? Retired professor, born in the 1880s. Strong interest in political sciences. Geopolitics of Swordland, post-revolution synthesis. He took the intelligentsia of the country by storm, began influencing many political decisions of the first government under Sol. After much prominence and discourse in front of the academic eye, he stepped away from public life. Currently, he resides in Conriat in his family estate. He probably has a copy of that we might ask him to bequeath to the government if we need one. But yeah, that sounds more like a sort of museum case. Maybe it was not, that wasn't a freak accident. We do have the copies of most important works, so no single fire can eradicate our knowledge. I see no point in destroying employee records either. Okay, definitely not that does not sound like a freak. I mean, it could have been an accident, but then why are we suspecting arson? So if we're suspecting arson, there has to be some evidence. So Peter, no, that wasn't a freak accident. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been investigating arson in the first place. Employee records, I see the point in. So that's something I have more suspicion about. Lucien mentioned that Coronti contacted him. Here we go. What do you mean by more importantly? I would like to know who's behind this, because if somebody has something to hide, I would very much like to know who it is and what it is that they're trying to hide. Because it sounds like it's worth knowing. Okay, so Marcel Coronti is the son, is he? The son of Konrad Coronti. Yeah, so he operates the advertising branch and is the up-and-coming CEO for the Heart of Swordland conglomerate. Let's see what they want. The Corontis had always been known as one of the richest and most influential families in Swordland. Coronti was no exception. Yes, we know. He was the oldest son of Konrad Coronti, the industrialist and media mogul who founded HRS, the richest man in the entirety of Swordland. The game is making a point here, I feel. Lucien turned to me. He has offered to meet with you, Mr. President. I can imagine that he does. Okay. I know why he's sending his son, potentially, because the son is if he came himself, that would put too much weight behind it, for starters. The son is the up-and-coming CEO, so it's excessively important for him to create political connections. What he wants, I can imagine, he either wants to know in which direction we're planning to direct the country in more detail, in order to make sure that his conglomerate and his personal wealth is not affected, or he wants to try and make me an offer that I cannot refuse. I don't trust these people at all. So why should I meet with him? Let's see what Lucien thinks about this. This is the most interesting question here. After the passing of his... the father died? It didn't say that. Okay. The Codex didn't mention that he died. So apparently he died. Okay. So he aims to become the next CEO of the conglomerate. So who is the CEO right now? Can we get clear information on that? It does not say. So it could be that somebody's running his son. But why would it? Okay, this is a bit weird. Why would it give me the opportunity to ask why he would send his son if he actually died? That is a little weird. Aims to become the next CEO of the AOS conglomerate. He mentioned a productive collaboration. Yeah, I can see that. Do we want to make enemies of the richest family in the country? Probably not. specifically that these people, well, they are sort of our targets, but not the immediate target. So I'm thinking about this. The immediate target is the old guard and the change in constitution. We will need the media's support for the change in constitution. We can get it in two ways. We can threaten them into submission, or we can nationalize the media. Either way, we probably want to... I don't know if nationalization is currently possible constitutionally, or if that would simply lead to a legal challenge and an impeachment under a hostile Supreme Court. So it might actually be in our benefit to sort of work with them for now and try to remain at least neutral, rather than giving away our game plan to one of the most powerful opponents that we're potentially facing. Not in a legal manner, but one who can do a lot of damage to us. Okay, let's see what he wants. They are a powerful and influential media conglomerate. To start with, they own the Swordland Today newspaper, the Swedish Broadcasting Corporation, which means it would be wise to have them by our side. Sorry for interrupting. I think I agree with you, Lucian. We will see. Let's see. What does this productive collaboration entail? Well, I can't imagine what that entails. So let's consider our option first. No need to be hasty. Do we want to refuse to meet with them? I think that would actually be counterproductive, because these people probably know a lot more than they're letting on. What does this eventually we want to nationalize the media, absolutely. So let's see what Lucian thinks that the productive collaboration would entail. He did not wish to explain the details over the phone, but rather in person. I believe I will be receiving a call from him sometime soon. Okay, so we're being put on the spot here. I think it can't necessarily do harm to meet with them. Or let me put it the other way, not refusing to meet with them would be probably more harmful. So at least if we meet with them, we have an option to kind of gauge where they stand as well. Whereas if we just outright refuse to meet with them, we're making it very clear that we are considering ourselves not interested in their interests, and as such, logically, an opponent. As Peter said, they have substantial power over the content of media outlets, headlines, radio shows. That is what he would be offering. What he wants in return is what we need to understand. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we need to determine our general approach to media. Yes, I agree. I'm no media expert, says Peter, but Lucian made some very interesting arguments at the preparation meeting yesterday. It's good that you people are coming in prepared. There are two ways we can approach the media. One of them is by influencing it, which has clear advantages. The other one is keeping it independent. Ooh. Okay. Now here it comes to it. Look, I think honestly we have actually an interesting variety, at least in the newspaper space, of opinion. So actually, there's one news where. Okay. While we weren't looking. Okay, somebody remind me to look into that. We'll look into that in a second. But we do have a sort of wide variety of newspapers, at least available. But it seems that the TV might be more centralized. I think for what we are doing, the media is going to be a tool to be used. That isn't to say that we want to propagandize the population, but we are looking at making some fundamental changes to the country. And this is one of the situations where we need to concentrate power first, and then after we have stabilized everything and applied the changes that we want, before Anton has to hand over to his successor, we need to make sure that we're reestablishing things once more. So in general, there should be a freedom of opinion in the media, but there should also be a powerful state-controlled media that is transmitting the idea of the government. There need to be alternative views, however. So there mustn't be a media monopoly on the state side, but there needs to be a powerful state organ that allows us to bring about the state perspective. So it is. I think a tool to be used, at least for now. Media plays a huge role in adapting public opinion towards our views in politics, while helping us avoid damage from scandals or mistakes. Look, we do have to have accountability. So if a mistake is being made, then we need to be accountable for it. But it allows us to manage a hostile media environment. Effectively allows the opponents that we currently have to deal with to use the media against us. So that's where I'm standing right now. While I do acknowledge that this will sound a bit harsh, I certainly believe that our perspective, knowledge, and experience allows us to have superior judgment compared to the average Swordish citizen. That isn't a wrong statement. And I think even under the auspices of we're not doing the dictatorship of the proletariat, but even under a sort of worker-centric outlook, you cannot expect the average factory worker to have the necessary education background and time to familiarize themselves with the area of state economics or military strategy or any of these things. So we do need to have specialists, and we want an informed citizenry, but we also want to make sure that they do not drown in misinformation propagated by our opponents. It's a slippery slope and a razor edge. It can very easily go very wrong. But for what we're trying to do, that's what we kind of need. I do share your opinion. So this is, after all, what we're doing. It's not that I go into the farms and tell them how to farm. And at the same time, the farmers also don't go into the Maroon Palace and tell me how to president. We do want to uplift, and that's where Anton's education focus comes in. We do want to uplift the. I think an important caveat here is today. We do want to uplift especially also the political education of the citizen, because if we have a participatory economy in some way that workers own, let's say, I hesitate to use the word share because it's more reminiscent of a stock market sort of scenario, but let's say a stake. If the worker owns a stake in the company and the company becomes, state-owned, but with workers having stakes in the success and in the profits of the company, then and in the political direction in a manner that way as well, then they need to have at least some basic education on what this means, instead of just being told what to do. So that's where the education comes in. We need an educated citizenry that agrees with the direction we're taking the state in, rather than a group of laborers who do what they're told and can easily be diverted by the next demagogue. But today that is not the case. So I do. That does sound harsh. So I see what you're getting at, yeah. I agree with Lucian, but why the assumption there'll be scandals and mistakes? Look, Peter, you should know better than me. This is politics, right? Mistakes happen, and scandals happen, right? It's not that we're starting on a clean slate here. We've got plenty of people who have long careers in politics and who probably have skeletons in their closets. And while it may be necessary for them to be accountable, and in particular cases potentially also necessary for them to be accountable in the court of law, it might at times be inconvenient to have them be accountable in the court of public opinion. Why the assumption there'll be scandals and mistakes? We can always hope for the best, but do we really think that nothing can go wrong, especially considering the very recent history of Swordland? I agree. 2 knocks were heard on the door. Are we to be disturbed during a strategy meeting? Well, I'm assuming if somebody made it this far, they didn't have a good reason to be here. Please do come in. What do we have? My secretary. This is the... right, here we go. She's the private secretary of me. She's tasked with directly handling most of the critical calls, scheduling paperwork. She used to work at Swordfish Airlines. So aircraft are a thing. So she's the one with the assets, all 2 of them, that Peter has selected for me. He is a bit of a rascal. Let's see what Livia, let's see what she wants. Okay. Excuse me, Mr. President. Mr. Galade's secretary has been calling me and wanted me to relay a message. That's Lucien, yes. Okay, let's see what's up. Aha. Mr. Coronti, the new CEO. So he is now CEO. Okay, so this is just news that the father has died. Marcel Coronti has become the new CEO. That makes also more sense why he wants to. So if that's the case, that makes more sense why he wants to contact us, because he's probably not in as firm of a position in the conglomerate as his father was. So he's on the line for Lucien. Okay. Ball is in our court now. Would you like to talk to him, or would you like me to? Well, I don't mind Lucien to talk to him. We don't want to leave the so that wasn't my impression, that was the question. So he's on the line for Lucien. So I'm not going to jump in, because that will seem eager from my side. It's like you called the president's chief strategist, and suddenly the president jumps on the phone saying, actually, since you're on the line, I wanted to talk to you anyway. I have this little financial issue here that you might be helping me with, or something like that. No, that definitely seems too eager. So you go ahead, connect the line to my office. Yeah, he was calling for Lucien, so that's who he's going to get to talk to. I'm not going to be immediately approachable for the richest family in the country. That leaves the wrong message. Okay. Connecting a call to line 1. Phone started ringing and Lucien picked it up. A few minutes passed as the 2 talked over the phone. Good news indeed. Congratulations, Mr. Coronti. Thank you for contacting me about this. We'll talk later. Okay. He puts the phone down. What was so important that it couldn't wait? He was just elected CEO by the board of directors. He offered a partnership deal regarding his media branch. He is inviting us to his resort near Conriad for a meeting. I think we may have to do this. Like I said earlier, it's not... He's offering a partnership deal. So what's a partnership deal? It means that he's giving us beneficial coverage, and we're giving him something in return. I don't know, whatever it is. Depending on how much he knows, promises not to break apart his conglomerate or something. Guarantees of retention of personal wealth. Could be anything like that. Okay. The board has decided rather quickly. It seems that gave him the confidence to approach us again. He is going to offer a real deal and now has the power of the conglomerate too. The choice is up to me. I can set up the meeting. Okay, let's see what Peter has to say. I have to say that I'm torn. Well, you're not helping. If he has become the CEO, then he has enormous influence now. On the other hand, do we want to privately meet with someone we don't fully know? The meeting would help us figure him out. We could still say no to whatever he offers. I agree with that. I think outright rejecting him is... So Peter's making a point in that this could be construed as difficult looks, although I don't see anything wrong with. I mean, he is the CEO of one of the largest companies in the country. We have economic problems, and as such, it is not completely out of the question for the president and his advisory team to meet up with him to discuss matters, right? That isn't unsavory by itself. So, and yeah, like Lucian said, we could figure out what he wants, and we can still say no to whatever he offers if we don't like it. And we have at least established a line of communication, and we have potentially a way to present it in a different manner than if we outright shut him down. No, I think we should meet with him. Arrange the meeting with Mr. Coranti. I'll set things up right away. I expect a worthwhile meeting next month. Okay, it's settled then. Looking forward to next month. I wonder if he has a pool. And secretaries with certain assets. Yes, I know, Peter, I know. It appears we're done for today. We will continue where we left off later. Thank you for your time. See you soon, gentlemen. They got their documents and promptly left my office. We were already getting the attention of key figures and potentially dangerous ones. Yes, most definitely. Okay, it seems that there was something popping up about energy prices, so that's something we're going to have to look into next episode. Our current government budgets, was it always at 7? Or did I misremember? I'm not entirely certain. There was one news item that I sort of, where was it? There was one news item that I clicked away earlier because I was just, was that in Swordland today? Okay, it's probably, it'll pop up again when I restart when I reload the game, because it usually marks most things as unread again. So we'll go through it in the next episode. Until then, yeah, we have an interesting, we haven't really fixed anything yet, but we're definitely starting to find our groove, I feel, and I can sniff out an opportunity or two to see if we can actually get to begin fixing the economy, which is, after all, so if I'm going to get my journal, notepad. One of my root causes, lack of investment, corruption, high 138% debt to GDP ratio, 16% unemployment, and 10% inflation. So we have and minus 6% GDP and a recession. So get Rayne in inflation and get the, I still don't know how we got 10% inflation on 16% unemployment, but it must have been money printing, right? It's the only way. But we do have, okay, maybe it's a one-off budget situation due to the privatization notes. Yeah, I think that's what it was. So we have to get the debt to GDP ratio down in order to get our government budget balanced. And we can do that by reducing the debt or by increasing the GDP. And by the way things have been shrinking, increasing the GDP is probably gonna be one of our very first things to do. And that is... I'm looking forward to finding ways of doing that, and the apparent upcoming energy crisis might be an opportunity in that regard.